What is going on, ladies and gents without sense? This is Flynn of Daxter5150, and we're going to be playing ATV Offroad Fury 2 for the PlayStation 2 on a PlayStation 3. Backwards compatible, 60 gigabytes. The fat one. Anyway, this here was basically the dopest game back then. Freaking, like, way back in the day. This game was released around the same time as Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2. And I'll show you why this is basically the dopest game of all time. I just gotta get my shit together. I'm gonna pick one of the starter bikes for the sake of progression, because I've basically unlocked everything in this game already. So there's just that. All right, here we go. I'm going to show you guys why this is so fucking dope. I'm just gonna go to the end of the map here and let the game do its work. Anytime now. Yep. Go to the edge of the map, you get boomed right back into it. That was the dopest shit ever, you know? It was so fucking dope that the developers of this game, Rainbow Studios, carried this over to all of their other extreme sports games, you know, like the first ATV Offroad Fury, the original Motocross Madness series for Microsoft Windows, the MX vs. ATV series, that was freaking awesome, and Splashdown, which was a pretty good series too. But yeah, that's just basically why this is the freaking dopest game of all time, because not only is it packed with so much content, you got a lot of customization options, a lot of bikes, you know, a lot of racing courses, and you even have freestyle, mini games, supercrosses, basically everything. But getting boomed across the map is basically the icing on the cake, as far as this game is concerned, anyway. But yeah, I'm gonna stick with this bike for the sake of progression, 300EX. Not just because it's my favorite bike in the game, my favorite starting bike at least, but because I want to be able to at least show off some sense of progression in this Let's Play, because I basically unlocked everything. Anyway, this is the first track in the game. This is Prospect Springs, the amateur national version. It's a simple oval, you know, but you have to like get used to all the bumps and the jumping. There's like a certain pattern that you have to follow. You can basically preload all of the jumps, though I can't guarantee it's going to be any faster like so, because all you really have to do with these jumps is just pitch the bike, depending on how fast you're going. Like, for example, that was terrible. That was a freaking bad. That was a bad jump. I could have done that better, and well, here I kind of redeem myself, but I don't land it properly. But yeah, as you can see here, I take first place. It's a simple oval, so of course it's going to be pretty easy. Next track is Tioga Valley. This is a good track, you know. It's quite simplistic, but I feel like it was, you know, it introduced the players to the advanced side of racing a little too soon. But, you know, then again, the first ATV Offroad Fury game did that with the second track in the game, which was freaking terrible. I forget the name of the track, but it's a snowy environment. And it was just really, really hard, you know. There's not really much that you need to do here in terms of patterns or any of that. Just make sure that you keep a good line, and if you have to, just preload a couple of jumps, and you should basically be golden. But yeah, as usual, I take first. Decided to do a little stunt, even though it's not going to count, since the race is already over. Next up is Arlington Stream, which is by far my favorite track, because it basically has everything in it. Like from the... Yeah, basically that's the only part of this track that I don't really like, is that they have the whoop section at the start. But other than that, it has pretty good rhythm. You know, it does what it needs to. Basically, you don't really need to preload off of certain jumps, and you know, it's really a fluid track. Plus, there's a lot of water sections too, so I really find that to be like a unique addition. Because I'm all for underwater sections. I really get the freaking momentum going there. See? You hardly have to preload in that part. When you're using some of the faster bikes, you might have to, but not with this. Now, this part in particular always haunted me, you know, because like you hardly ever see the jump coming when you're up on the hill, and you barely have any time to preload, and even if you do preload, there's a chance that you're going to miss, like so. And so I've really had a problem with that certain part of the track when you're coming up on the hill. But, you know, other than that, this track is really, really good. As you can see here, I redeem myself a little bit by preloading, and, you know, I try to keep a good line. And I managed to keep my bike in level for that slope, as well as for the water section. And I take first place. And the next track is Rockbridge Park, which I think is a really good track, but I think it's somewhat poorly laid out. Like, I mean, it's not the rhythm sections that are that bad. It's like, it's this part here. You can technically get a little confused as to where you're supposed to go because there's no barrier blocks that keep you on the route. But yeah, other than that, the rhythm sections are pretty good. You know, you're able to maintain speed along the areas, especially with the aforementioned rock bridges. But yeah, other than that, the only part about this track that really are some of the smaller intersections. Okay, that was kind of sloppy, I'll admit, but, you know, this next part is relatively fast, and I managed to keep myself in check here. Decided to do a little stunt just because. There's a lot of eye candy in this track, too. There's another thing I like, but not as much as Arlington. And as usual, I get second place on the first lap, but I managed to make up for it at the end. There we go, another successful first place. And the next track is Freeport Harbor, which I really do not like, honestly. The rhythm sections are decent at best, but other than that, the course layout is just really uninspired, and it doesn't really feel very fluid. Save for this bridge part, which you do get a bit of a speed acceleration bonus from, but yeah, it's sections like this that I really have trouble with, and for some reason the AI just seems to catch up, and I have basically no control over it. And here's another speedy section where I can manage to get back at speed. But it doesn't really help me because there's another rhythm section here which seems rather uninspired, as with the other frickin' rhythm sections here, and this bend doesn't really do me much justice either. I don't know why, but the trees, they always seem to doom me at this part. Like, I managed to get the rhythm right, I get the timing right and all that, and all of a sudden I go colliding into a tree here. As you can see here, I'm a little more careful, so I barely managed to avoid them. And so, yeah, really, if I'm being honest, Freeport Harbor is just not really that good of a track. It's like one of my biggest weaknesses when it comes to this game. The amateur nationals, at least. But I've got really not much else to say here. Just Freeport Harbor's a freaking bad track. Decent at best, but since I'm an expert, I get first place. Next up is Caribou Peak. This track can eat a big fat dick. I freaking hate it. Basically, this track wants you to pick a fast bike. It just wants to pick, like, literally a bike with the most top speed, because the rhythm sections are like, yeah, just go fast, and, yeah, you pretty much got this in the bag, you know what I'm saying, man? But it doesn't really work when you have such a freaking slow bike like I do. And I'm just trying to consider the game progression here, too, so I picked a slow bike for this track, and oh my god, I freaking hate it so much, oh my god! And, this rhythm section is terrible over here underneath the freaking cottage, and, I've wiped out so many times on that bend. This S-turn over here is a little more merciful, though. The sheet of ice doesn't really do you much justice, but you get the hang of it, you know? It does allow you to get back at speed. Except for, this part where your altitude rises again. You're pretty much going out of rhythm if you have a slow bike. I do like the snowing effect, though. The snowing effect looks really, really good. Especially by 2002 standards. This game was, like, really old, and they still managed to get the freaking snow effects to look really, really nice. Except when you're starting to go down, then it looks like it's not really snowing yet, and the snow takes a little while to get down. Like it just stops being winter all of a sudden, then it starts becoming winter again. But, yeah. Caribou Peak, overall, terrible track. I hate it. Yet another racing course that seems rather uninspired, especially for amateur national standards, but whatever. Yep, I've got not much else to say. I forgot to bring up this rhythm section while I was talking. This rhythm section is just terrible before the finish line. But as usual, I'm a pro gamer, so I get first place. Next up is Sonora Dunes. This is a really, really good track. The rhythm sections are very nice, but it's the environment itself just feels really boring. Like, it does feel rather inspired, you know? Like, I could see what the developers were trying to go for in terms of nationals, but this kind of environment really it just really isn't my cup of tea. But yeah, definitely this is a track worth racing on. Especially considering that it's not in the championships. You have to complete the expert championships before you unlock the track itself. But as you see, I mess up a little bit on the rhythm sections, but I do manage to get back up to speed, and I managed to get the jumping right. And the turning overall is really, really good. Like, you don't even need to worry about, like, long stretches or any of that. You can just turn and you can still get back to top speed. And plus, it's as long as it should be. It's appropriately long, and you don't need to, like, you don't need to drive for, like, a minute and 30 seconds in order to complete a single lap. So yeah, overall, Sonora Dunes is a really good track. And this next one, Sanjacinto Isles, is unlocked by a cheat code. And this is rather unique. I'm not really sure why the developers would have a track that could only be unlocked by a cheat code, but this is a really, really good track. The rhythm sections are absolutely tremendous, and the environment is just really, really good. Like, you have these ancient ruins, an old bridge, you've got a couple of statues here and there, and coming up in just a little bit, you're gonna hear a monkey screaming like a freaking like a pug getting his nails clipped. And yeah, I kind of mess up that jump, but whatever. I'm still gonna win this, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm a pro gamer, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, the rhythm sections are really, really good, and there's also some places where you can get back to speed. And the whoop sections that are coming up in just a little bit are actually not that big of a problem. Even if you're riding on a slow bike, like, yeah, it's just an overall really, really good track. And, you know, it's a shame it can only be unlocked by a cheat code, but whatever. You know, the freaking eye candy, the rhythm sections, the parts where you can get back up to speed is just really, really good. This is a track really worth racing on. And so, yeah, that's basically the Amateur Nationals for ATV Off-Road Fury 2. If you guys want to see more of this, go leave a comment down below, like, frickin' subscribe to the channel, do whatever you gotta do. I will definitely make more of this, because this is just a really amazing game. Especially considering how you get rocketed back to the center of the map when you go off. And that was a lucky win back there. Wow, I'm really proud of that. Anyway, I'm out of here. I'm Flynn from Dexter5150. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.